The rain hammered against my back as I rushed toward Ridgewood High, each drop a cold, insistent finger. Thunder growled in the distance, and the vestibule lights flickered as I stumbled through the doors. The hallway buzzed with the murmur of wet coats and echoing chatter, the metallic clang of lockers puncturing the noise. I moved left toward my locker, my shoulders hunched against the lingering chill. I'm Jackson, 16, a sophomore, neither invisible nor the school's king. I know the daily rhythms, lockers opening, jokes traded, the same faces and the same clicks. But my locker had a neighbor that had always been empty. Until today. She was short and thin, with tangled brown hair cascading down her back like a frayed rope. An oversized chestnut hoodie engulfed her small frame, and her fingernails were edged with grime. There was something haunted in her stance, like a ghost trying to fit into a body. "Hi, are you new?" I asked, smiling, because that seemed safer than staring. Her makeup was too heavy, her face pale as plaster, her eyes rimmed with a shadow that made their hazel look sickly, yellow at the edges. Her lips looked cracked, as if a winter wind had kissed them for too long. She, as if coming back from a long way off. "Yeah, Beverly." She fumbled with the lock that wouldn't open, her hands trembling slightly. I offered help, and she accepted it like she'd been holding her breath, waiting for someone to notice. She moved with a stillness that made me think of someone trying to remember how to be ordinary. In first period, she sat in the back of biology, and no one caught her eye. No one greeted her. The teacher's voice seemed to skim right over her, like rain off a window. It should have been nothing, but the skipping lights and the way lockers slammed seemed louder in the corners around her. Small clues stacked up. An empty backpack, no lunch, no phone. It made a hollow place in my chest where curiosity and worry met. We shared lunch, and she let me sit. I wasn't popular, but I wasn't a ghost either. I ate my sandwich and asked honest questions. Where do you live? What do you like? I was just trying to get to know the new girl. She said maple and greenstone. She agreed to be my partner for an English project. When I offered my house after school, she shook her head and said, "Could we go to a park, maybe?" She said it like it was a careful rule rather than a suggestion. The park was a smudge of damp benches and a swing that squeaked with the wind. I draped my sweatshirt over our papers to keep them dry. She applied another layer of skin-colored makeup under the dim lamplight. The scrape of her brush sounded like a tiny bone against glass. I did the writing, trying to focus on the assignment. She watched, unblinking, as if memorizing every word. When the sun bled away and the park emptied, she put her notebook away. Her backpack rattled, and I noticed again that it was empty. No books, no pencil case, no water bottle, nothing. "I can walk you home," I said. It felt like an automatic kindness, the kind you offer because you don't want to be the person who did nothing. The park was getting darker, the shadows deeper. "No, you can't," she said. The words were flat enough to stop me, as if spoken by someone who knew a terrible secret. A shiver ran down my spine. "Are you sure it's getting dark?" I said, trying to ignore the prickling unease at the back of my neck. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves in a sinister whisper. "I'll walk home by myself." Her voice was flat, devoid of emotion, as if she were reciting a practiced line. The darkness seemed to deepen around her. I told myself she was cautious, that strangers make you suspicious, that maybe she'd been taught to keep to herself. Still, curiosity, or something darker, pushed me forward. I had to know more. I followed at first, at a safe, obvious distance, the way you follow a dog that you think might bolt. The streets north of school blurred into neighborhoods I didn't know, places that felt older and forgotten. Her pace changed. She hurried, then slowed, then ran. I matched her, slipping through puddles and keeping to the shadows so she wouldn't see me, my heart pounding in my chest. She hopped a fence like it was a well-worn habit. Behind it was a cemetery I had never known existed inside the city. Old stones leaned like tired people, iron fences rusting into themselves. Where the streetlight cut off, the cemetery held the sky. She moved on to the dirt paths, and I followed, the world narrowing to the thud of my chest and the squish of wet leaves under my shoes. A figure knelt at a grave, hands working at the soil. For a second, I thought she had been digging. Then the figure wasn't there, vanished into the shadows as if it had never existed. The grave itself looked ordinary at first, weathered stone, ivy clinging like hands. But as I drew closer, the inscription sent a chill through my bones. Our beloved daughter, Beverly M. Keating, 2005 to 2021, always in our hearts. The words swam before my eyes, each syllable a hammer blow to my sanity. My mouth went dry. A picture frame lay nestled in the disturbed earth, a family photo. An older man, a mother with a tired smile, a little girl who was unmistakably, cruelly, a younger version of Beverly. My head buzzed. She'd been at my locker. She'd had lunch with me. She'd spoken, laughed, fingered her nails in my presence. The world tilted on its axis, and I felt like I was falling. I reached out, and the cold of the frame made my wrist sting. It was as if the grave itself was rejecting my touch, warning me to stay away. Beverly? My voice turned thin. In the open black, barely a whisper against the rustling leaves and the creaking branches. Only the wind and the high, small noises of insects answered. The air sharpened, as if an unseen presence had drawn closer. I should have left then. Common sense, respect for a place that held grief, all of that hemmed in like barbed wire. But the restlessness that had pushed me into rooms and conversations my whole life, my need to be seen, pulled me closer. I couldn't resist the morbid curiosity that gnawed at my insides. A whisper, like someone talking under a door, breathed at my ear. The sound wasn't the wind. It was close, intimate, and utterly terrifying.